Have you ever felt like someone you loved who passed away was trying to reach you, like they were standing right beside you, but you just couldn't see them? Have you noticed how certain days feel different? How the air gets heavier, the silence deeper, and something inside you whispers that the world isn't quite what it seems? Dear friends, November 2nd isn't just another day on the calendar. It's a doorway, a sacred threshold where heaven leans down toward earth, where the living and the dead stand closer than we ever imagine. And what Padre Pio saw on that day will change the way you think about death, prayer, and everyone you've ever lost. There are moments in time when the veil between worlds grows thin, when the boundary separating us from eternity becomes almost transparent. November 2nd, the Day of the Dead, is one of those moments. And Padre Pio didn't just believe this. He witnessed it with his own eyes. He used to say that on that night, while most people sleep peacefully in their beds, thousands of souls walk silently near churches, cemeteries, and homes where a candle burns or someone whispers a rosary. They're not there to frighten anyone. They're not wandering aimlessly in despair. They're searching for something only the living can give them. One simple thing: a prayer. Padre Pio once told a story that still gives me chills. One night, in the early hours of November 2nd, he woke up suddenly. There was a powerful smell of incense filling his tiny cell, even though no incense had been burned. When he opened his eyes, the room was glowing. Not with regular light, but with dozens of small flames suspended in midair, hovering like fireflies. But these weren't flames. They were souls, souls waiting for a mass, souls hoping someone would remember their names. And without speaking a single word, they communicated with him. "Father, pray for us," they whispered into his heart. "Today, heaven allows us to come close." And Padre Pio wept. Because in that moment, he understood something most of us never will. November 2nd isn't just a tradition. It's not just about visiting graves or lighting candles out of habit. It's a divine appointment, a meeting between two worlds. If this message touches your heart, I want you to do something right now. Write in the comments, "Padre Pio, intercede for my loved ones." Your words matter more than you think. And as you'll see in this video, they might just reach someone who's been waiting to hear them. Now, here's what most people don't know. On November 2nd, something shifts in the spiritual realm. Time itself seems to pause. The souls in purgatory, those who are being purified by God's love, look toward earth with desperate hope. They know that on this day, prayers have a special power, that masses celebrated with faith can open doors, that a single rosary prayed with true devotion can free a soul from the purifying fire. Padre Pio said that purgatory isn't a place of punishment. It's a place of burning love, a love so intense it feels like fire. Not the fire of anger, but the fire of longing, the fire of a soul that aches for God and is being made pure enough to stand in His presence. And on November 2nd, that fire eases just a little, because heaven bends down, because mercy flows stronger. Can you feel it? Even now, just thinking about it, something shifts inside you, doesn't it? There's a reason for that, because somewhere, beyond what your eyes can see, someone you loved might be waiting. Waiting for you to remember, waiting for you to pray, waiting for the love you still carry to reach across the divide and pull them home. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will show you exactly what Padre Pio saw, what happens on November 2nd that most people never realize, and how you can be part of one of the most powerful spiritual mysteries in all of creation. Let me take you deeper into what Padre Pio experienced, because what happened in that cell wasn't a one-time thing. It was a window into a reality that exists every single year on this sacred day. Padre Pio had visions of the afterlife so vivid, so overwhelming, that sometimes he'd be left completely drained afterward. He didn't ask for these visions. They came to him because God knew he could handle them. And more importantly, because God wanted us to know the truth. One afternoon, after praying the rosary in the chapel, Padre Pio saw something that would stay with him forever. A figure emerged from the shadows near the altar. It was a monk, dressed in an old habit, his face marked with sadness. His hands were folded in prayer, and his eyes held a quiet desperation. "Padre Pio," the monk said softly, "I died many years ago in this very convent. I've been waiting all this time. No one has offered a mass for me. No one remembers my name. Please offer just one mass, and I can finally go home." Padre Pio felt his heart break. Here was a soul, trapped not by God's cruelty, but by something far simpler, forgotten, left behind by the living who moved on with their lives. He promised the monk he'd celebrate Mass for him at dawn. And when morning came, as Padre Pio lifted the host during the consecration, he saw the monk again. But this time, everything was different. The sadness was gone. The monk was surrounded by brilliant white light, and his face was glowing with pure joy. He smiled at Padre Pio one last time, then vanished, released, free, home. From that moment on, Padre Pio understood something profound. The Eucharist, that sacred body and blood of Christ, has the power to shatter the chains of purgatory. And when the whole Church unites on November 2nd, offering masses, rosaries, and prayers for the dead, it becomes like a tidal wave of grace crashing into the spiritual realm. Think about it. On that one day, millions of Catholics around the world turn their hearts toward those who've passed. They visit graves, they light candles, they whisper names they haven't spoken in years. And all of that love, all of that remembrance rises up like incense before God's throne. But here's where it gets even more mysterious. Padre Pio once said something that hardly anyone talks about. He said that on November 2nd, the souls in purgatory are allowed to move closer to earth, not to haunt, not to scare, but to be near the people they loved, to stand beside them in churches, to watch them kneel at gravesides, to hope with every fiber of their being that someone will say their name in prayer. Imagine that for a second. Your grandmother, standing invisibly beside you as you light a candle. Your father, present in the pew behind you during Mass. Your friend who died too young, waiting silently for you to offer just one Hail Mary. They can't speak, they can't touch you, but they're there. And when you pray, when you offer a single rosary, a single moment of your time for their sake, Padre Pio said it's like cool water poured over burning skin. It's relief, it's hope, it's love made real across the barrier of death. One woman once asked Padre Pio directly. She was nervous, almost afraid to hear the answer. "Father," she said, "is it true that souls from purgatory can visit us on November 2nd? Padre Pio looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled gently and said, "More than you could ever imagine. Some touch your shoulder while you pray. Others walk beside you to the cemetery, and some stand there in the church with you, weeping with gratitude because you remembered." Then he added something she never forgot. "Adi, sometimes those souls cry when they see the world has forgotten them, but every tear you shed for them, every prayer you whisper, soothes them more than 1,000 words ever could." That's the heart of it, isn't it? Memory. Remembering isn't just nostalgia. It's not just looking at old photos or telling stories. In the spiritual realm, remembering someone with love and prayer is an act of redemption. It's reaching across death itself and saying, "You're not forgotten, you're still loved, and I'm going to help bring you home." Let's talk about something most people misunderstand completely. Purgatory. The word itself sounds harsh, doesn't it? It sounds like punishment, like some kind of spiritual prison where souls suffer because they weren't good enough. But Padre Pio saw it differently, and what he saw changes everything. He said, purgatory isn't about God being angry. It's about God being so perfect, so pure, so blazingly holy that nothing impure can stand in his presence, not because he rejects it, but because the soul itself can't bear it. It's like staring into the sun at noon. The light is too intense, too beautiful, too overwhelming. So purgatory is where souls go to become ready, to be purified, to have every last shadow burned away until they're pure enough, bright enough, clean enough to stand before God without shame. And that process, it's fire, but not the fire of hell. It's the fire of love. Padre Pio described it as a burning nostalgia, an ache so deep it feels like it's consuming you from the inside out. It's the soul crying out, I want God. I need God. I can see him. I can almost touch him, but I'm not ready yet. That longing, that desperate desire is what purifies. It's love itself doing the work. And here's what most people don't realize. The souls in purgatory aren't there against their will. They want to be there. They understand, in a way we can't fully grasp while we're still alive, that they need this purification. They wouldn't dare approach God's throne covered in the dust of their earthly lives. They want to be clean. They want to be worthy. They want to be ready. But here's where it gets beautiful. While they're waiting, while they're being purified, they can't help themselves. They can't pray for themselves. They can't earn anything or do anything to speed up the process. They're completely dependent on us, on the living, on the prayers we offer, the masses we attend, the sacrifices we make in their name. That's why November 2nd matters so much. That's why Padre Pio said this day is like a rope thrown to someone drowning. Because on this one day, the entire church turns its attention to those souls. And when millions of prayers rise up all at once, when thousands of masses are celebrated, when countless acts of charity are offered for the dead, it's like opening floodgates of mercy. Padre Pio once said, if people could see what happens in purgatory when a single mass is offered for a soul, they would never stop going to mass. He said that the moment the priest elevates the host, light pours into purgatory like rain after a drought. Souls cry out in relief. Some feel the flames ease, others feel themselves being lifted, pulled upward toward the light, and some, the ones who were closest to being ready, are released entirely. They go home, just like that. One mass. One soul freed, one eternal destiny fulfilled. There's another story Padre Pio told that hardly anyone knows about. He said that one November 2nd, after midnight mass, he was walking back to his cell when he felt an unusual warmth in the air. Not physical warmth, but something deeper, something spiritual. He stopped walking and closed his eyes, and in that moment, he saw them. Hundreds of souls gathered outside the church. They weren't frightening. They weren't dark or shadowy. They were radiant, but not yet fully bright, like candles that hadn't quite caught flame, and they were all looking at the church with expressions of pure hope. They're waiting, Padre Pio said later, waiting to see if anyone will remember them, waiting to hear their names spoken in prayer, waiting for someone to care. And then, as the dawn began to break, he saw something that made him fall to his knees. Some of those souls began to rise, slowly at first, then faster, ascending like sparks from a fire. They were the ones who'd been prayed for, the ones whose families had offered masses, the ones who'd been remembered. And as they rose, they turned back one last time, as if to say thank you, before disappearing into the light of heaven. Padre Pio wept for an hour after that vision, not from sadness, but from overwhelming joy mixed with heartbreak. Joy for the souls who'd been freed, heartbreak for the ones left behind, still waiting, still hoping someone would care enough to pray. You know, Padre Pio had one spiritual weapon he treasured above almost everything else: the rosary. He called it his sword. He said that when you don't know what to pray, when words fail you, when your heart is too heavy to form sentences, just pick up those beads. Let Mary guide your prayers. Let each Hail Mary become a step closer to heaven, not just for you, but for the souls who are waiting. And speaking of the rosary, I want to share something special with you. Something that can help you connect even deeper with this powerful prayer and with Padre Pio's teachings. It's an ebook called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This resource will help you pray the rosary with real devotion and depth. You'll discover the miracles and testimonies of people who've experienced its power firsthand. You'll learn Padre Pio's most impactful teachings about prayer. Plus, there's a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, along with special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The rosary was Padre Pio's greatest weapon, and today it can be yours too. If you want to download it, just click the link pinned in the comments. Now, let me take you back to what happens on November 2nd, because there's something else Padre Pio revealed that most people never hear about. Here's where things get really profound. Padre Pio once said something that made even the most faithful believers pause. He said, "On November 2nd, many souls visit the places where they lived. Some enter the homes where they loved. Others sit in the churches where they used to pray. They wait to hear their names spoken in a prayer, and when no one does, they leave sad." Can you imagine that? Really let that sink in for a moment. Souls walking among us, invisible, hoping for just one whisper of their name, one rest in peace, one tearful prayer offered with genuine love. And when it doesn't come, when silence greets them instead, they turn away with hearts still heavy. Nothing about that is wasted, though. Nothing. Every prayer, no matter how small, is like a match struck in a dark room. Every mass is like water rushing through a dry riverbed. Every sincere act of love is a key turning in a lock, opening the gates of paradise just a little wider. You've probably felt it yourself, haven't you? Maybe on November 2nd or around that time, something strange happens. You smell a perfume that wasn't there a second ago, your grandmother's perfume. Or you're sitting quietly and suddenly think of someone who died years ago, someone you haven't thought about in forever. Or you have a dream where a loved one appears, smiling, looking peaceful, and when you wake up, you feel like they were actually there. None of that is coincidence. Padre Pio was clear about this. When a soul reaches out to us, they're not trying to scare us. They're not haunting us in some Hollywood horror movie sense. They're reminding us that the thread connecting us hasn't been cut, that the bond between people who truly love each other doesn't get severed by death. It just changes form. It becomes something deeper, something eternal. So if you feel something strange on November 2nd, don't be afraid. Maybe it's a visit. Maybe it's the quiet gratitude of someone you've helped without even realizing it. Maybe it's a gentle nudge from heaven saying, "Remember me, I'm still here, and I need you." A woman wrote to me last month. She told me that on November 2nd last year, she was cleaning her kitchen when she suddenly smelled her father's cologne. He'd been dead for 5 years. She froze, looked around, and felt this overwhelming sense that he was standing right there beside her. She started crying and whispered, "Dad, I miss you." Then she prayed a rosary for him that night. She said she slept more peacefully than she had in months, and she's convinced he was there, waiting for someone to remember him. That's not imagination. That's not grief playing tricks. That's the reality of November 2nd. That's souls reaching across the divide, hoping someone still cares. There's an old tradition that says, on the night of November 2nd, souls from Purgatory gather around churches where Mass is being celebrated. Nobody sees them with physical eyes, but they're there, pressing close, listening, hoping. And when the priest speaks those ancient Latin words, Requiem aeternam dona eis, Domine, eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, an enormous light surrounds many of them. It's God's mercy touching the invisible. Padre Pio said that if our eyes could see what happens in that moment, we'd fall to our knees, sobbing. Because while we're mechanically reciting prayers, maybe distracted, maybe checking our watches, down there in the fire of purifying love, souls are sighing with relief. They're feeling the coolness of grace wash over them. And some of them, right in that instant, are ascending to heaven, released, free, home. Here's what you can do. On November 2nd, or any day really, but especially on that sacred day, light a candle. Not because candles have magic power, but because that small flame represents your love burning bright in the darkness. Pray a full rosary. Every decade is like rain falling on parched ground. Sprinkle blessed water in your home and say, "For the souls of my deceased family members, Lord, have mercy." Offer communion. Do an act of charity for someone poor or sick in memory of your loved ones. And when you do these things, don't do them with fear or sadness. Do them with the peace that comes from love that refuses to quit. Do them knowing that somewhere beyond what your eyes can see, someone is feeling your love reach across eternity. Padre Pio promised this. He said the souls we help will never forget us. Never. When we die, when it's our turn to stand at heaven's door, those souls will be the first ones there to greet us. They'll say to God, "This person helped me when nobody else would. This person remembered me when the world forgot." And Jesus, with a smile, will say, "What you did for one of the least of these, you did for me." That's not just a nice story. That's reality. That's how the communion of saints actually works. We help them now, and they help us later. We pray for them, and they pray for us. It's a circle that never breaks, not even in death. Here's a secret that few people know. Between November 1st and 8th, you can gain a plenary indulgence for the souls in purgatory. You know what that means? It means that if you visit a cemetery, if you pray for the dead with a sincere heart, if you go to confession and receive communion, you can literally wipe away all the purification a soul needs to endure. You can send them straight to heaven. One prayer, one visit, one soul saved for all eternity. Padre Pio called this the greatest hidden treasure of the Catholic faith. He said, people chase after miracles. They beg for signs. But right here, right in front of them, is the power to change someone's eternity, and most people don't even know it exists. So here we are, at the end of this journey, through one of the most sacred mysteries of our faith. And I hope you can feel it now, that November 2nd isn't just a date on the calendar. It's not just a cultural tradition or a religious obligation. It's a doorway, a meeting place, a moment when heaven and earth reach toward each other with open arms. Padre Pio saw this with his own eyes. He witnessed souls waiting, hoping, longing for someone to remember them. He saw the power of a single prayer to change eternity. He understood that the invisible threads connecting us to those we've loved are stronger than steel and gentler than silk. Tonight, before you fall asleep, I want you to pray something. Say it slowly. Let each word sink deep into your heart. Merciful Jesus, through your passion and your blood, ease the souls in purgatory. Through your Holy Mother, grant rest to the forgotten. Through love, welcome those who wait for your embrace. Then, in the quiet that follows, say the names of your loved ones who've passed. Say them with tenderness. Say them like you're calling them home for dinner. Because in that moment, someone in the world beyond is listening. Someone hears you, and someone is grateful beyond measure. Padre Pio saw November 2nd as a day of sacred tears, a day when the human soul touches the mystery of eternity, a day when death stops being an ending and becomes a promise instead, the promise that the story isn't over, that family bonds aren't broken by the grave, that we'll see each other again, and when we do, it'll be in the presence of God Himself, where there's no more crying, no more pain, no more separation. And you, right now, watching this video, you can be part of that mystery. Every prayer you speak, every mass you attend, every soul you remember is like a flower that heaven collects. None of it is wasted, none of it is forgotten. Every act of love echoes through eternity. So here's what I'm inviting you to do. This isn't just about watching a video and moving on. This is about creating something beautiful together. I want you to write in the comments the names of your loved ones who've passed away. Let's make this comment section a spiritual cemetery, a place where souls receive love, where heaven is moved, where names are remembered. Write their names, write rest in peace, or I love you, or whatever feels right in your heart. And as you do, know that somewhere beyond what we can see, those souls are feeling your love. They're blessing you, they're thanking you, and they're praying for you just as you're praying for them. When you finish watching this video, I want you to do something else. Keep 1 minute of silence, just 60 seconds, no phone, no distractions, just you and the invisible world that's closer than you think. In that minute, there are eyes watching you with gratitude, there are souls blessing you, and there's a promise being fulfilled right before your spiritual eyes. The promise that love outlasts everything. The promise that the soul never forgets. The promise that mercy always finds a way. You know, this channel exists for one reason: to spread the faith, to share the wisdom of saints like Padre Pio, to remind people that there's more to life than what we can touch and see. There's a whole spiritual reality waiting for us, and the more we understand it, the more we can live with hope, with purpose, with love that transcends everything. But here's the truth. We can't do this alone. We need you. This mission of keeping faith alive, of spreading these teachings to people who desperately need them, requires a community. It requires people like you who believe that these messages matter, that souls matter, that eternity matters. So if this video touched your heart, if Padre Pio's words moved something deep inside you, I'm asking you to do 3 simple things. First, leave a like on this video. It sounds small, but it tells the algorithm that this content matters, and it helps us reach more people who need to hear this message. Second, share this video. Send it to someone who's grieving, someone who's lost faith, someone who needs to know that their loved ones aren't gone forever. And third, if you feel called to be part of this mission in a deeper way, consider becoming a member of this channel. Your support keeps this work going. It allows us to create more content, to reach more souls, to be a light in a world that often feels very dark. We're not just a channel, we're a family. A community of believers who understand that faith isn't just about showing up on Sunday. It's about living every single day connected to heaven, connected to the saints, connected to each other across time and eternity. November the 2nd reminds us that we're never truly alone, that the family of God stretches across heaven, earth, and purgatory, that we're all connected by invisible threads that death cannot cut. And that every prayer we offer, every tear we shed, every moment we spend thinking about those who've gone before us strengthens those threads and brings us all closer to the eternal home we're meant for. Death isn't the end. It's a doorway. And on the other side, people are waiting for your prayers, waiting for your love, waiting for you to remember that they're still part of your life, just in a different way. Don't let them wait in vain. Pray for them. Speak their names, love them still, and know that one day when it's your turn to cross that threshold, they'll be standing there with arms wide open, ready to welcome you home. Amen.